So in this online class, we're going to have a look at race, ethnicity, religion, minority and its types, nature and problems of religious minorities and its causes, and religious fundamentalism and religious intolerance. Race is social anthropological concept. It's entirely biological or physical characteristics of human being. Race is part of human species. In the world, we could find a number of human species. So race is part of human species. There are many races in the universe we could find. Race is also known as personal identification. We could find people with different kind of physical appearance. Some people would have broadened head, and some people would have black eyes or thick eyebrows and hairstyle with different curly hair. Okay, these all are part of race of human being. Here I have given examples. The Negroids. Negroids, we could find this kind of human races in India, especially in southern part of India. The Proto-Australoids, it's also kind of human race, which races could find in central part of India, and Mongoloids. These Mongoloids actually came from Mongolia, which is next to China region. Then Caucasoids, these kind of human races could find in northeast, in western countries. If it is Mongoloids, we could find in Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram and Manipur. And the Caucasoids, we could find, as has been said, western countries. The Nordics, which is combination of many races. These all are major races we could find in India. Race, ethnicity. There are quite difference between race and ethnicity. While race is biological, ethnicity is cultural characteristics. What type of religion we follow, what region we belong to, what language we speak, what is our tradition, what is our heritage. This is part of ethnicity. It's based on cultural characteristics of individual, its cultural identity. If you take ethnicity, is most important concept in sociology and also social anthropology. Example I have given: Dravidian, Indian, Indo-Aryan, Bengalis, Brahmin, Malayalis, Tamils and Assamese. So likewise we have a number of ethnicities. Here you should know our subject topic is religious minorities and ethnicity people's problem. So here you should understand what are the difference between ethnicity, race and religion. Here if you take religion, is a part of ethnicity. We could find religion, language and region, everything in ethnicity. If it is race, it's entirely biological. Here I have given a difference between race and ethnicity. Race is a biological and a physical characteristics, whereas ethnicity is cultural practice. And race is self-identity of an individual, whereas ethnicity is cultural identity. Race is based on the bone structure, the structure of the individual, appearance of the human being, color of eyes, hair and skin. Ethnicity, it's entirely about nationality and regionality and regional culture, language and ancestry. Ancestry is nothing but it's a gene-oriented concept. Race is tangible, which can be visible. Since race is based on physical appearance of individual, it can be visible, whereas ethnicity is intangible. As a social animal, we could follow a number of customs and values in our society. We could not see that values and belief of the particular ethnic people. That is why ethnicity is intangible. Religion, as has been said, religion is part of ethnicity. Ultimately, culture is a part of ethnicity. In culture, we could find the concept of religion. So religion is nothing but the belief, values and practices related to sacred and spiritual concepts. In India, we could see more than 7 religions. In the upcoming slides, we will discuss about the religion and its concept. This is the exact meaning of religion. So here I have mentioned 2 important definitions of social scientist. Social theorist Émile Durkheim, he is a French sociologist. He defined religion as a unified system of belief and practices relative to sacred things. Each and everyone will be having religion. Even if you are not believe in religion, you will come under atheist. Atheist also types of religion in the society. According to Émile Durkheim, unified system of belief, there will be unified system like customs, values and beliefs would be there in the religion, and there will be a number of practices that should be related to sacred things. It's opposite to profane things. So next, Max Weber is a German social scientist. He believed that religion could be a force for social change. When we want to have a social transformation in our society, we should follow religion. Suddenly, if you are strictly following religion, you could see some transformation in you. You are a social animal. You are a part of society. So when you have change in yourself, that ultimately leads to change in social institution. The social institution, we know, that is part of social system. Dissonance. This is social psychological term which explains its lack of agreement and harmony between people and things. When there is a conflict, when there is agitation among people or things, it could lead to dissonance. Religious dissonance. Religious dissonance is disharmony between two or more religious groups. If you take India, as has been said, there are more than 7 religions in India. Because of lack of agreement or lack of harmony between two or more religious groups, there could be religious dissonance. Religious dissonance may refers to religious violence, religious war, religious intolerance, and religious controversies. Religious intolerance is unwillingness to accept others' religion. If you are belongs to religion A, suddenly you don't want to accept or you don't want to agree with other religion, that is religion B. So that is called religious intolerance. Ethnic dissonance. So ethnic dissonance is also a disharmony between two or more contending ethnic groups. We know ethnic means it's entirely culture. What culture you follows, what language you speak, what heritage you belongs to. That is called ethnic. In ethnic dissonance, there will be disharmony or a conflict between two or more contending ethnic groups. What are the causes of ethnic dissonance? There are many sources or causes for ethnic dissonance. Here I have given few sources for ethnic dissonance: political, social, economic, or religious. The individual in conflict must expressly fight for their ethnic group's position within society. We could find disharmony or agitation or fight among the group of people for their ethnic status within the society. Who are the minorities? What is the first thing that comes to in your mind when you think about minorities? Is minorities. We could find each and every institution in the social system. Like we could find minorities in religious institutions, we could find minorities in educational institutions, we could find minorities in economic institutions, we could find minorities in other sub-social institutions. Minorities are nothing but wherever you are living, wherever you are sitting, you could find there are two sections in the society. One is numerically strength section, another one is numerically weak section. The numerically weak section always consider as minorities. Here I have given meaning for minority. A minority group refers to a category of people who experience relative disadvantage as compared to members of a dominant social group. As has been said, we could find the society into two sections, that is dominant section and non-dominant section. The dominant social section will always dominate the non-dominant social group in the various forms of religious practice and educational practice and political practice and so on. Then what are the types of religious minorities? Generally, we have four types of religious minorities. Four types of minorities, that is religious minorities, linguistic minorities, national minorities, political minorities. The upcoming slides we will discuss about types of minorities elaborately. What is religious minorities? According to American sociologist Louis Wirth, religious minorities, any group of people, because of their physical and cultural characteristics, are singled out from the other in the society in which they live for differential and unequal treatment, and who therefore regard themselves as object of collective discrimination. Religious minorities are a group of people who singled out because of their physical and cultural characteristics and experiencing equal treatment and unequal treatment and experiencing collective discrimination. We can call them as religious minorities. It's a famous American sociologist. He has given a definition for religious minorities. And religious minorities in India. Generally, we could find 6 religious minorities in India: Muslims, Christians, Sikhs, Buddhists, and Zoroastrians, and Jains. If we take Jains, in 2014, we have added them as a religious minorities. As a percentage, I have given the census 2011 report. In India, 14.2% of Muslim population are there in India, and Christians in 2.3%, Sikhs in 1.7%, Buddhist in 0.7%, Zoroastrian in 0.2%, Jains 0.45% in our country. Linguistic minorities. What is linguistic minorities? Based on the linguistic, we could categorize the entire society into linguistic majorities and linguistic minorities. A linguistic minority is a class of people whose mother tongue is different from that of the majority in the state or part of state. The Constitution provides for the protection of the interest of linguistic minorities. If you take Part 3, fundamental rights, which give you rights to protect your language and script and like we have scripts in religion, Bible, Quran, and Bhagavad Gita. Everything will come under linguistic concept. Article 29 talks about the protection of the linguistic minorities. They can protect their language and they can establish linguistic minority institution or religious minority institutions. Here I have given number of languages uh, with speaker strengths. According to Indian Census 2011, there are 22 languages speaks by Indian people. We can define linguistic minorities based on the strength of the speakers. Which language has less number of speakers could be considered as linguistic minorities. From bottom, we can consider Sanskrit, Bodo, Manipuri, Kongani, Dongri, Sindhi, Nepali, Kashmiri, Santali, Maithili, Assamese, Punjabi. Everything can be considered as linguistic minorities. If you take Indian Constitution, they never define about minority, but they have talk about minorities, religious minorities, linguistic minorities, and cultural minorities. They just explain, they just talk about, they just given preferences for the minorities, but there is no definition, exact definition for minorities in Indian Constitution. National and cultural minorities. It's combination of religion, language, race, and so on. We could see cultural minority in various countries. If you are following different kind of religion, language, and race, you can be considered as cultural minority in other countries. Not only in other countries, we could find in India. You may be following majority religion and talking majority linguistic, and you will be having a majority race, but still you will be having less population in the country can be considered as national and cultural minorities. Clear? Yes. Political minorities. What is political minorities? So political minority, also known as a minority government or a minority parliament in a cabinet. Political party or coalition of party does not have majority of overall seat in the parliament can be called as political minority. If we take parliament, we can see two sections as has been said, like society, people having a number of strength and people having less strength, and less strength can be considered as political minority in the parliament. Political minority, it's entirely about government and it's entirely about political system. Indian Constitution and minorities. If we take a constitution, the constitution deals with three kinds of minority only, namely religious, linguistic, and cultural minorities. Our Indian constitution talks about the religious minorities, linguistic minorities, and cultural minorities, but we could not see minority, linguistic, like cultural or national minorities or political minorities in constitution. We can see cultural minorities in Indian constitution. Minorities under constitution. If you take Indian constitution part 3, article 25 to 30 talks about minority. So minority having a distinct spoken language or script, which defined in article 29 class 1. Minority based on religion. This concept explained in article 30 class 1. Minority having a distinct culture, which explained in article 29 class 1. Linguistic minority comes both in article 29 class and article 30 class 1. So these are articles, Indian constitution articles which related to minorities. We could find these articles in part 3. Yes. Article 29. So Article 29 talks about the group living within the jurisdiction of India is entitled to preserve and promote its own language, script, or literature and culture. Article 29 talks about as an Indian citizen, you can promote your own language and you can preserve your language, script, or literature and culture. What is the meaning of language and script or culture here? Is exactly we could find religious, we could find Bible and Quran and Bhagavad Gita. Everything will come under religious script or culture. Clear? Article 29. Right? Now Article 30. Article 30 states that a minority group, whether based on religion or language, shall have rights to establish and administer educational institution of their choice. We could find in India a number of religious educational institutions, like the name of minority. We can run our institution and we can promote and we can preserve our religious activities. Right? There is a rules and regulation to follow all those things, which is defined in Article 30. We can see a number of minority educational institution, right, in India. Then, what are the characteristics of religious minorities? What could be if you are belongs to a religious minority? Suddenly you are belongs to Muslim community or Christian community or Zoroastrian or Sikhs or Buddhist, you will be having different characteristics in nature, physical or cultural traits, which is talks about the distinction from the dominant group. Your appearance and your physical characteristic or cultural characteristics will differ from the majority people. You could follow different religion, you could speak different language, and your skin color, your eyes color, your hairstyle and hair color could different from majorities. Unequal treatment. Unequal treatment which is taking place in each and every section of the society, especially minority sections having less power, and they need equal access to power and wealth and prestige, and dominant group always exploits the minority people in terms of religion, in terms of politics, in terms of finance, in terms of various social aspects. And minority people could get prejudice, discrimination, abuse and humiliation. In each and every week or every month we could find a number of discrimination cases, religious discrimination, or based on religious things. We could find a number of abusing cases and humiliation cases in the day-to-day newspapers. If we take prejudice, it's negative attitude towards a particular religion or particular region, right? So next, ascribed status. So minorities, religious minorities is ascribed status. In the previous semester, we discussed about two types of status in sociology: ascribed status, then is achieved status. Ascribed status is based on non-voluntary. It's based on your birth. If it is achieved social status, that is based on your achievement, education, your property, your wealth, all everything will come under achieved status. If it is religion, it will come under ascribed status. You can't define, you can't decide your religion when you born in the society, right? So ascribed status, religion is not voluntary. It's common ancestry and tradition based on your mother, based on your grandmother, based on your great grandmother, can be define your religion, whether your religion minority or majority. Even if you are belongs to a minority religion, suddenly you are converting into the majority religion. Like you are a Christian, you are converting, you are a religion A, you can convert into a majority religion B. Suddenly the people will not accept you as a majority people, since your tradition and your ancestry belongs to minority section. Clear? So we are discussing about the characteristics of religious minorities. Solidarity. We can find solidarity among religious minority when there is a problem, when there is a social issue for religious minority. They will create social solidarity to fight against the ill treatment or discrimination or prejudice. We can find we feeling among religious minorities, and we could see cooperation among religious minorities. There are here you should know, you should understand the difference between cooperation and coordination. Coordination is not voluntary. Cooperation, it's entirely voluntary. So no need to give rules and regulation. If you are belongs to minority religion, you should cooperate with the movement or fight against the ill treatment. Cooperation is voluntary. As a religious minority, you should participate in the movement which help us to get benefit from the government. Clear? In-group marriage. If you take my religious minorities, they won't go for out-group marriage. They will go for endogamy. In the previous semester, we discussed about endogamy. Endogamy is a form of marriage between men and women in group, right? Endogamy. Then it discourages marriage outside. It's not exogamy. They won't follow exogamy. Exogamy is a form of marriage, and it's a marriage between men and women outside caste. Problems of religious minorities. What are the problems? I'm a minority, religious minority in India. What are the problems I will get in the society? Problem of prejudice and discrimination, prejudge and negative attitude. Suddenly, if I belongs to Islam or Muslim community, my appearance could different from others' appearance, so that they could have negative attitude. Okay, his appearance is different, and his appearance like a terrorist sometime, right? So they will be having prejudged negative attitude. And discrimination is treating someone unfairly because of his or her group members and social status. Since you are religious minorities, you will be having different social status, and you will be sometimes not privileged in the society, and that also leads to religious minorities problems. Problem of preserving distinct social and cultural life. If you take religious minorities, they could follow different kind of culture, and they could speak a different kind of languages. They will be having different kind of social relationship. Culture. If you take Christianity, they could follow different kind of culture. The way of appearance could different in some part of India, and they will be following different kind of customs and values. Since they are having different kind of culture, they could face problems. And language. Here we can take Muslim community as an example. The Muslim community could speak Urdu and Hindi and Arabic. Because of their language, they are having difficulty to preserve their distinct social and cultural life. Certainly in a general public they can't speak in Urdu or Hindi and Arabic, since they are having different look from the outside society. And social relationship, since I'm following Muslim community, suddenly if I meet any relatives or friends, I have to say assalamu alaikum. Suddenly social relationship, it's very difficult as a religious minority people. If I say assalamu alaikum, suddenly what will happen, the other caste or majority people will be having different look on me, and they will be having different perspective, since I'm talking differently comparatively other sections or other group of people. Since culture and language, social relationship, religious minorities are having problems of preserving distinct and social and cultural life. Problems of providing protection. Suddenly there is discrimination, suddenly there is prejudice among minority people. We could see in the society communal violence, caste conflict, observance of festivals and religious and functions on mass scale. Majority groups often seek police protection. Suddenly, since there is mass scale of communal violence and conflict, the police could not give proper protection. And we can see a number of reasons for the providing protection. Right, the problem of providing protection is very difficult to the minority people, since they are having lack of influence in political field, lack of influence in economical institutions. Problem of communal tension and riots. So communal tension is nothing but, or communal riot is nothing but clashes between two or more communities owing to clashes of communal interest. To protect their communal interest, to protect their religious interest, we could find disharmony between two communities. And especially in India, we can find a number of communal tension and riots between two classes, right? Every day we could see different kind of news related to communal tension. Just guess, what is communal tension? What religion will be having communal tension and riots in day-to-day life, in especially in India? Is Hindu and Muslim. So these are two communities having clashes. We could list out a number of issues that is related to Hindu and Muslim communal tensions and riots. If you take recent issue, I can give you an example: Delhi riot, which happened on 23rd February 2020. It's because of what is CAA. Various part of country started to fight against the government to avoid Citizenship Amendment Act. Citizenship Amendment Act 2019 is nothing but which gives citizenship rights all the religions like Hindus, like Christians, Buddhists, Sikhs, and other religions apart from Muslim. This they avoid Muslim community and they want to give citizenship to the other communities, right? So because of Citizenship Amendment Act 2019, there was riot in Delhi on 23rd February 2020. In this riot, there was communal tension between Hindu and Muslim community. Most of the Muslim community has been got injured in this communal tension, and also Hindus got communal injuries. Right? We have seen many news in the previous month. Right? Okay. Problems of lack of representation in civil servant and politics. Since religious minorities felt neglected when they want to get into civil service or politics, they are having lack of influences among people. They are not ready to participate in the political participation, and since they are economically, educationally better than the majority community, they don't want to get into civil service or politics. If you take if you take religious, yes. Okay, we are discussing about a problem lack of representation in civil service and politics. So economically and educationally better than majority community. If you take before 2 decades, the minority people are not educationally and economically better, but nowadays they are very strong in economically and educationally. Problems of separatism. Since there is a concept of separatism among minorities, it's very problematic issue. If you take extremists in Kashmir, they want to get separate a state, since they are having more people or more Muslim people, they want to get separate state. And their demand for the establishment of independent Kashmir. The extremists in Nagaland and Mizoram demanding separate statehood for their provinces. So since there are many sections, minority sections, they want to get separate territory. They want to establish separate state or separate country. That also a problem for minorities. Failure to stick on strictly to secularism. If you see many political parties having secular concept, they are not following the concept of secularism. What is secularism? It's religious free political activities. No party is honest in its commitment to secularism, politicalize communal issues and take political advantage out of it. If any religious any party want to get vote banking, they could use their religion and they politicalize the communal issues. This is also one of the problems of religious minorities. Problems relating to the introduction of common civil code. What is common civil code? Directive principles of state policy are talks about, which is part of Constitution, Part 4, Directive Principles of State Policy. It's also known as DP and SP. Article 44 talks about uniform civil code for citizens. The state shall endeavor to secure for the citizens a uniform civil code throughout the territory of India. When there is no communal tension, when there is no communal riots, when there is unity, the government can implement uniform civil code, which defined in Article 44. This is also one of the problem for religious minorities. If suddenly, if they introduce common civil code, the minority people can't follow their own culture and religious belief and religious customs in the sense in the part of religious activities, and they can't follow their own cultural activities in general. Next, what are the causes? Causes of problems of religious minorities. If you take religious minorities are overgeneralized belief, that is stereotype. If you are belongs to minority, that can be overgeneralized belief. Suddenly you are belongs to a particular community, you have suddenly having interest in activities like illegal activities. People could generalize their belief. Okay, the particular person following this kind of religion, suddenly he is related to the particular activities that is related to illegal. Stereotype. And impact of socialization and learned behavior. Socialization, we know the concept that is process of learning. Because of socialization, we could see problems for religious minorities. If you are belongs to religious majority, there are people having different opinion on religious minorities. Okay, why you are not talking to that particular person since he is religious minority? The particular person will tell that my father told that I should not talk to the particular minority people. Why suddenly he doesn't know the reason for the particular action? That is learned behavior. My father said so that I'm not doing. My mother said so that I'm not talking to the particular religious minority. My grandpa explained about the history of the minority so that I'm not talking to the minority people. And self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a sociological concept which has been explained by R.K. Merton. Self-fulfilling prophecy is nothing but prediction or expectation coming true. When you are thinking that okay, a particular religion, if you take example, Muslims are indirectly related to terrorists. When you are thinking like that, when you are continuously thinking like that, the particular illegal activity will take place in the society, and you will be having indirect uh, understanding with the particular illegal activity with the Muslim community. That is prediction or expectation coming true. That is also known as self-fulfilling prophecy, which has been explained by who? American sociologist R.K. Merton. The authoritarian personality. If you take a majority religious people will be having authoritarian personality. They always dominate, they always influence the minority. Because of that, we could find problems in religious minorities. Scapegoating, which is practice of singling out a person. If there is any issue, okay, the particular person did previously, so the person did the same thing again. So scapegoating is a practice of singling out a person because of the previous action or the past experience. So these are the problems of religious minorities. Apart from these 5 problems, we could list out many religious problems. Right? I have given important problem causes of religious minorities problem. Next, fundamentalism. What is fundamentalism? As has been said in the previous semester, fundamentalism is a form of religion. Here, fundamentalism used at first to describe some people in the Protestant community in the United States in the early 20th century. The set of well-defined values. The fundamentalism is a well-defined values and it's opposite to modern ideas. If we take fundamentalism, we could find a number of scripts and literature. The particular person will strictly stick to it, the fundamentalism. They don't want to accept the modern ideas. Religious fundamentalism. So fundamentalism is a term applied to various religious groups and even to some secular groups. Fundamentalism, based on the religious text and the teaching of particular religious leader or God, the person will be having strong belief. They won't agree or they are not willing to understand other religious practices. Characteristics of religious fundamentalism. What are the characteristics? We know what is religious fundamentalism. It is strong belief on religion and they will strongly stick into the religious belief. Here I have given nature of religious fundamentalism. So religious fundamentalism are counter-modernist, which means they are against to modern practices. And religious fundamentalists are generally assertive, glamorous, and often violent. They are always strong in their ideology, and they don't want to accept others' views, and they want to glamorous, and they want to get attention from the other religion, and they want to strongly believe in their religion. That is often violent. Violently, they will strong believe on their religious fundamentalism. And religious fundamentalists are chosen, the elect, the saved. They themselves feel that we are chosen by the God, they are elected by the God, they are saved, their religious script and their activities from the profane things. And each and every religious fundamentalist will be having a holy book or a charismatic leader whom literal obedience is voluntary. So religious fundamentalists will be having charismatic leader. If you take Islam, Prophet Muhammad can be called as a charismatic leader. He is a messenger from the God. So religious fundamentalists will be having strong belief on holy book and their charismatic leader. Law and authority comes from God. They believe that rules and regulation and law and authority and power and authority comes from the God. That is Bible, or we can consider as any religious institution like religious script like Quran and Bhagavad Gita. The religious fundamentalists strongly believe in holy books where we can find law and authority, which is comes from God. Female sexuality must be controlled. According to religious fundamentalists, female sexuality must be controlled. There should be restriction for female sexuality or sexual activities. Only one true religion or one correct way of life. Religious fundamentalists emphasize that there should be only one religion and everyone should follow the same religion, or they should follow only one religion and they should have only one correct way of life. The female sexuality must be controlled, right? It's based on LGBT issues. LGBT stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender. So clear, impassable boundaries must be established between men and women. According to religious fundamentalists, there should be a boundaries. You should not talk unnecessarily with men or women. That is, we could see this kind of activities in many religious practices all over the country, or we can find this kind of activities in the world itself. Like if you are a man, you should not talk to women for unnecessarily purpose. Especially the fear of and opposition to homosexuality. Every religious fundamentalist opposite to homosexuality, and public marks of distinction are needed to maintain their sense of superiority and distinctive identity. Religious fundamentalists always want to be a superior, and they want to dominate the rest of the sections in the society. Causes of religious fundamentalism. There are a number of causes. Here I have given important causes. Where there is ideological cohesion, that could lead to religious fundamentalism. Ideological cohesion means ideological togetherness. If there is 10 people having same ideology, they will have cohesion, togetherness, and they will start to do religious fundamentalist activities, which causes for the social problem. When there is a common enemy to unite against, that also leads to religious fundamentalism. Lack of centralized control. When there is different sections in the society, each section will be having control over their section, and they will be having, they will be forming different kind of religious fundamentalism. The existence of marginalized individual facing oppression. The marginalized individual always having oppression. Marginalized individual means the minority people. Where they are blocked access to political representation, movements are more likely to turn to violence. So because of religious fundamentalism, we can find blocked access to political representation, and movements are more likely to turn to violence. So these are important causes of religious fundamentalism. Intolerance. What is intolerance? Intolerance is the fact of refusing to accepting ideas, belief, and behavior that are different from your own practice. Intolerance is unwillingness to accept other views. If it is capitalism, communism, the capitalist people will not accept with the communist people. Religious intolerance. Religious intolerance is when a group specially refuse to tolerate practices or person or belief on religious grounds. We could find religious intolerance. Webster's New World Dictionary defines intolerance as not tolerant, unwilling to tolerate others' opinion or belief, etc. Other opinions and belief. Here, what is a belief and the opinions? That exactly the belief is religious intolerance. There are types of religious intolerance. Interfaith intolerance. We could find a conflict between two different religion, like Hindu-Christian conflict or Hindu-Muslim conflict, that is called interfaith intolerance. And we could find intrafaith intolerance, that is intolerance between sub-religion or sub-caste, that is Shia Muslims, Sunni Muslims. We can find different two types of Muslims in general. Intolerance by from a fight group against secular group. There are difference between fight group and secular group. Example, Christian fundamentalist and transsexual or same-sexual couple who wish to marry. This is also type of a form of religious intolerance, and intolerance by a secular group or secular group against a religious group. Example, secular group. Secular group is a religious free group. They won't believe, they won't have intention about religion. They will work for their own ideology and won't believe. Feminist. Versus some organized religions can lead to intolerance, that is come under this type. Government initiatives. What are the initiatives? There are a number of initiatives to protect the minorities, or to protect the ethnic minorities and religious minorities. Here I have given important government initiatives. The National Commission for Women, which was set up by the Union Government of India in 1992, to protect the existence of minorities all over the India, which commission can be found in each and every states, which gives you scholarships, fellowship, and research on discrimination, ill treatment, prejudice over minorities. And Prime Minister new 15-point program. 15 point this program, this social scheme established in various parts of country to develop the social, economical, and political cultural development of minorities. And who's that? This social scheme established or implemented to upgrading skills and training in preservation of traditional ancestral arts and crafts of minorities. If we take minorities, they will be having different kind of traditional ancestral art crafting to develop, to motivate them. This scheme helps the minorities. Hamari Dharohar. It's a social policy social scheme to preserve rich heritage of minority communities in context of Indian culture. So from this scheme, they are giving rights and authority to preserve their rich heritage and preserve their communities in context of Indian culture, right? Okay, the next slide. Okay, so by this slide, I'm concluding my class.